Alright, in this video we are going to be talking about gaining your first devil fruit. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm not too sure what I'm going to title the video yet, so it might be titled something along the lines of getting your first devil fruit's too hard, and I know that may anger a few people at first, but please just let me explain myself. So, getting your first devil fruit is hard, right? I think we can all agree it's pretty difficult. Like, getting your first good devil fruit is what I mean. I'm not talking rares or none of that. I'm talking legendaries. Like, gaining your first Logia or legendary devil fruit it's a big accomplishment because of like the disadvantage that you're at if you don't have one, obviously. Now, that's not where the problem stems, because I already thought like everybody has to go through it, right? And it definitely makes sense. You know, it's to weed out the weak, sort of. Like, so you can't just like be bad at the game and have no grinding capability or no drive to get this good fruit, but you still get it anyways. You know, you can't do that. We all went through, well, a majority of us went through the struggle of getting our first legendary fruit. I know I can. We used to use those 4-hour notifier codes every time they came out, me and my friends, and we used to just sit there and just wait for fruits to spawn in private servers for hours, days, weeks. We would just sit there. I'm sure that's how a lot of people's first devil fruit story goes. It's like they got it with their friends, you know what I'm saying? And I'll touch back on that later. But for now, let's talk about the ways you can get devil fruits. You can get devil fruits through notifier codes, like I just mentioned, ship farming, which was the best way, but now it isn't. Sea beast farming, which I don't know how viable it is, but I don't think it's too viable. And then the best way being dungeons. Now, marine ship farming, you can do okay on your own if you don't have a devil fruit, but it's definitely not going to be great. It's not going to be very efficient, and getting devil fruits without 2 times Logia by marine ship farming is going to be very, very, very hard. Marine ship farming is, I remember I used to marine ship farm every weekend, even sometimes on the week, and I'd go 2 weeks without touching a single Logia, and that's when I grinded them with Magu by myself. Like, grinding marine ships is not, it's very hard. I'm not going to say it's not efficient, but it's tough. Like, dungeons is the best by far. But sea beast farming, I never really consistently grinded sea beasts for devil fruits, but I tried a couple times and it didn't feel very efficient. It felt less efficient than marine ships, but I might be wrong on that. And then there is dungeons. Now, grinding dungeons is definitely the best, but also the hardest to do without a devil fruit or being alone. It's very challenging to do by yourself, because the thing about dungeons that differs from sea beast farming and ship farming is if you do dungeons, there is no guarantee that all your time is going to be put worth to even a suke. Like, you could grind for 24 minutes. I mean, you could grind at wave 24 fruitless, and then you'll slip up once. You might hit the Q key on accident and dash into a horde of Kirabachi users or one sword style users and lose it all. Or it's also very luck based, because let's say you make it to wave 20, you're 5 waves away from the devil fruit wave, and you get 2 Pika users, and now you gotta eat their overpowered ults for some reason, and you lose it, and you waste like half an hour of your time. It's really annoying. But the thing about that is that's if you're doing it alone. Chances are if you're doing it with other people, you won't run into this problem, because they're like a failsafe. They're like a plan B, you know? If you mess up, it's okay. They're there to carry that weight. And I know it scales to be a little bit more challenging with people, but it's definitely significantly easier with more people. But that leads me into the main point. The main reason it is so hard to gain your first devil fruit for people that are alone. It took me a while to get to this point because I kind of wanted to drag it out a bit, but that's where it's hard for people. It's really hard to get your first devil fruit if you are fruitless and alone. If you don't have friends to play the game, that makes it so much more challenging. The reason I'm saying this is because when I first got my first devil fruit, which was Magu back in update 0, which is almost a year ago now, I did it with my friends. Me and all my friends, we were constantly using notifier codes. We would try to grind marine chips and all that. We were grinding, and it was still very challenging because none of us had devil fruits. But if you have a devil fruit, if you have a Logia, it would make that easier, obviously. Now what I'm saying is, people without a Logia and without people to play the game with are at an extreme disadvantage. And I think that's what drives people away from GPO. People are being driven away because they don't have people to like play with, and they're stuck. They don't know what to do. They can't get a Logia because it's too challenging to grind marine ships efficiently alone without a devil fruit. You can't grind sea beasts without a devil fruit unless you use Diable, and even then that is extremely challenging and extremely inefficient, and dungeons is almost impossible fruitless. Now you could theoretically grind up to a bomb or something, and then try to solo arena with bomb. But even then, you would have to be using a bomb build. You'd have to be, prepared to reset your skill points. You have to use all these Robux, and even then, like, you're going through significantly more effort to reach a point where people who just either had like 2 or 3 people with them, or 1 or 2 people even with them, just reach significantly easier. Like, it's extremely unfair to the people that play GPO all alone, who are trying to get their first devil fruit, in comparison to the people who have like the friends to get these fruits. Now, do I have any ideas to fix this? Like, how to make it not easier to get a devil fruit, but easier to get a devil fruit for people who don't have people to play with. Something where it would not increase or change in difficulty, get easier or harder depending on how many people you have. A grinding method where it doesn't matter how many people are doing it, it'll be just as efficient regardless. That's what I'm thinking of. Like, I don't really have a idea for how you would do that, but I think a way, I'm not saying an update 4 or anything. I'm saying just in the future, because it is something that I believe drives people away from the game, is its difficulty. And I know a lot of people say, oh, we all went through it, just suck it up, you can do it too. If I did it, then anyone can. It's really not that hard. But it's like, chances are the people saying that did it with their friends, and if you didn't, good job, you really put a lot of time and effort. But I don't think average people who have school and things have the time nor effort to just dedicate all their time to working their way up to get their first Logia. That's why so many people are sitting there begging. It's because it genuinely is challenging to do alone. I never had to really, I recently had to go through doing it alone. That's why I'm making this video. I started off with Magu, but recently, I went fruitless, then I ate Suke, I went through all the rares. But now I want to eat a legendary, and it's a bit of a struggle. And I realized, I was like, wow, so those people that are constantly saying, oh, can you give me a Logia? Oh man, it's so hard, I've been trying to get a Logia for so long. It's like, they really might have been. Like, I always thought some people were lying when they said they put months into trying to get a Logia and they still just can't do it because they can't grind. And I always pushed it aside as them, oh, they're just over exaggerating. Oh, well, some people are lying for Logia. Like, I had a guy tell me once that he grinded for years on this game, which obviously he wasn't. The game hasn't been out for years. It hasn't even been out for a year, to the public, that is. And it's mind-blowing that there are people who just like brush them aside and will say, oh man, it's not that hard and all that. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to say. I really just to recap, grinding devil fruits without anyone helping you or without a Logia is far too difficult. Now what I'm saying is, don't make getting Logias easier. I'm saying make it easier for the people who don't have anyone to play with. Like, for example, add a way to gain devil fruits where it doesn't affect the difficulty by the amount of people there are. The difficulty will not change depending on how many people are doing it. It'll be just as easy alone as it is with 5 people. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's really all I wanted to say. I will see you guys next time. Peace. Alright, I know the video should have just ended, but I had one more thought while editing. I know there's a Discord where you can, you know, be like, oh, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to grind Sea Beast, anyone want to do dungeons with me? Or you can just ask randoms, and people who don't have people to play with can do it together. But I feel like everyone knows there's always risk to that. Like if you're grinding marine chips as a group, for example, and someone gets the marine chip that you were about to get and they get a Logia from it, now you're down a Logia. Your chances are pretty much cut in half if you're doing it with 2 people, cut into thirds if you're doing it with 3 people, cut into fourths if you're doing it with 4 people, and so on. And chances are, if you're fruitless and, you know, doing dungeons, and you're doing it with other people, then you're not going to have the most damage, therefore not going to get the devil fruit. And you could say, oh, you could call fruits. If you're doing it with randoms, I'm sorry to say, but chances are they're going to lie and take the fruit. And there's nothing you can do about that. Like, I don't think there's anything against the rules for that. So it's very risky doing it with people. I know it is a solution technically, but it's not a very good one at that. It's very flawed. There's people that will lie and say they want to help you, but they're really just trying to help themselves, and so on. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out the way because I came up with it while editing. But yeah, peace for real this time. See you guys.